Let's explore how meditation could help us to transcend career obsession. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found of all places on Reddit. An individual wrote, "I am too much consumed by plans, career goals, and what is next, that I miss being in the present." And then they elaborated. During my youth and early part of my career, such an attitude helped me achieve results academically and in career. But as I grew older, I realized that such an attitude is totally consuming me. My thoughts are around these goals, my family relations or ability to notice my emotions are taking a back seat. I understand that I cannot be a monk leading a I don't care about career attitude, but how do I balance both? So we're going to approach this first with broad brushstrokes. There is a great irony observed around the world. And here's how it works. We love those in our life, whether they are actually in life or just potentially could sometimes be in our life. But we love these people in our life enough to want to make sure their needs are met. And that would be the providence. But sometimes in our enthusiasm to meet their needs, we fail to participate with them in a way that is giving them enough time, but also giving them enough bandwidth. Because the bandwidth we have access to is finite, isn't it? This can best be understood by looking at it through the lens of yin and yang. You might say, what has that to do with Buddhism? Well, the qualities of yin have become associated with the Buddha, and the qualities of yang have become associated with the Buddha's wicked cousin, Devadatta. Qualities such as being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and even cruel. So, our fear and our controlling tendencies can make decisions for us, can drive our decisions. And the great irony is the decisions they make in an effort to prevent an unfortunate future sometimes ensure an unfortunate future, which is really, really weird. A tale is told by Jim Carrey that his dad was really funny, and his dad wanted to be a stand-up, but he thought it would be better for his family, that he could provide his family more financial security if instead he worked as the Canadian equivalent of a CPA. Imagine the great irony when the corporation he worked for either closed up shop or downsized, and he and his family wound up homeless. This guy sacrificed his career, his dreams, to prevent that which happened anyway. That is an irony worthy of O. Henry, is it not? Upon the Buddha's path, we strive to replace our fear with love and our controlling tendencies with being laid back. This is typified by the flow state. The flow state is predicated upon two things: mindfulness and meditation. It's kind of like a triangle, really. So let's explore each facet of this triangle in a way that can make your life work better. Now you might say, I don't have hours and hours to spend. Well, why don't we start off small with a commitment of 5 minutes every 12 hours or so? I think most of us can find 12 minutes. And if we can't find 12 minutes, then just as Bugs Bunny said to Daffy Duck, I think we've taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque. If you can't spare 5 minutes once every 12 hours, you are sprinting headfirst into a brick wall. So we're going to begin with mindfulness. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are accessing the sympathetic nervous system. No, it is not found in the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears. Instead, our sympathetic nervous system is ensconced within the thoracic or ribcage region of our spinal cord. No, the sympathetic nervous system has not evolved to support either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration. Instead, our sympathetic nervous system has evolved to support the middle ground of simply noticing vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Noticing sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. Noticing emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Noticing the external and the internal, the physical and the mental, the pleasurable and the painful, the interesting and the boring, the glorious and the grotesque. A legitimate response to all this would be to ask, what do we do with all that stuff that we notice? What is the healthy, sustainable response to all that we could vulnerably perceive? The answer to that is found in meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, whether we mean to or not, whether we feel it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system. This is found in both the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. Every time we exhale, our parasympathetic nervous system is wired to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. You see, when we rely upon the medial prefrontal cortex we rely upon the medial prefrontal cortex to actively concentrate, and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex to actively contemplate, our blood tends to gather at our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression located at the base of our limbic system. But here's some good news. When we replace active concentration with passive mindfulness, when we replace active contemplation with passive meditation, our blood shifts to our anterior cingulate gyrus, located just a few centimeters behind our forehead. This hunk of meat acts as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. That is why the greatest Dzogchen lamas of Tibet have insisted that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. But what has that to do with the flow state? Consider, if you will, the snippet of tantric art. Consider this gal who is the color of a cumulus cloud. Notice how she actively sports in tantric union. This reminds us that contrivance is always trumped by spontaneity. Please consider her partner the color of the azure sky. Notice how he passively savors the same tantric union. This reminds us that not all spontaneity is created equal. It reminds us that the scattered spontaneity that we might sample after perhaps our third espresso in 30 minutes, this scattered spontaneity will always be trumped by the centered spontaneity that is the effortless byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Let's take this a step further. when our choices and our utterances and our deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our life could be as blissful as a real or imagined paradise or pure land, or if you prefer Sanskrit, vati, as depicted in Buddhist art. How do we manage the demands of our life? Through the flow state. How do we generate the flow state? By setting aside at least 5 minutes every 12 hours or so to train in mindfulness and meditation. I do look forward to chanting and practicing with you and exploring this in finer detail after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So, what I'd like to do is follow a simple pattern. I'd like to chant with you excerpts or quatrains or sets of 4 verses from the final meditation manual dictated by the great Tibetan saint Za Paltrul Rinpoche. The manual is known as the Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones. And I'd like to, after chanting a quatrain, I'd like to meditate with you. First with a bit of the old mantra meditation, and then with a bit of the old silent meditation. Please chant with me. Hide your body by staying alone in the mountain wilderness. Notice this is all monotone with the exception of a syllable marked by a bold vowel and an accent. Hide your body by staying alone in the mountain wilderness. My hands are pressed together in the puckered palm position in front of my sternum. This is not because I'm superstitiously praying to a real or imagined celestial entity. Why do I do this? Because I find that it helps to cause my real or imagined energies to coalesce within my central channel, whether it's there or not. Hide your speech by cutting off contact and saying very little. Hide your mind by being continuously aware of your own faults alone. This is what it means to be a hidden yogi. So here is the key. What is the metaphoric philosopher's stone that transforms the lead of mindless mental recitation, mindless mantra recitation, into the gold of spiritually protective mantra meditation? The answer is twofold. First, during our inhalation, we silently, mentally, and passively recite this italicized bit. And in this case, we are instructing our subconscious to relax into our experience of this. So what is this? This is the demonstrative pronoun that we use as a universal label to adhere to whatever we notice. Whatever we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Whatever we notice, be it a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, or the like. Whatever we notice, be it an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. What do we do with that which we notice? Simple. During our exhalation, we physically relax as best we can while striving to chant the 6-syllable mantra 8 times per breath. And of course, if this is your first time working with this mantra, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Now, you might say, well, listen, here, Lama Jigme, you weird fellow, why do we have this brass image here if we're not being superstitious? Simple. This is a brass image that is described in Sanskrit as Avalokiteshvara, described in Tibetan as Chenrei Zig, and translated into English as kind gaze, or one who gazes kindly. If we have the misfortune to traverse the path of being rigid and fearful and controlling, we would probably view kind gaze as an entity to be worshipped and supplicated. However, if you're working with me right now, then you most likely have the good fortune to traverse the path of being flexible and loving and laid back, which means you have the courage to view this figure as merely an archetype whose iconography reminds us that you and me and everybody else, thanks to evolution, are already wired to master, no less practice, awareness and letting go love and letting go as well as bliss and letting go. And now, let's practice. Om mani mimi um mani mimi. Oopsie. I think it'd be useful if we counted this thusly. Om mani mimi um mani mimi um. 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 Having chanted the mantra 8 times, we now will prepare to rest in awareness and letting go. We're already wired during our inhalation to notice. We're already wired during our exhalation to release. But the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears can act an awful lot like Urkel from Family Matters, can't it? Just stumbling and bubbling around and making a mess of things, unless we give it a job. So the first job we give our brain is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, which helps to facilitate mindfulness. The second job we give our brain is this. During the exhalation, we instruct our brain to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease, thus facilitating the practice of meditation's release. So let's practice this for 12 rounds. Having demonstrated the use of Bengali crease counting, for the remainder of this morning's practice, I'm going to rest my hands in my lap because I feel it's just more ergonomically sound. Good morning, Jay. Give my love to Kevin and Rue and Teddy. Please chant with me. Discuss because there isn't... Take 2. Discuss because there could be no one to be trusted. Sadness because there could be no meaning in anything. Determination, because there could never be time to get everything you want. If you always keep these three things in mind, some good could come of it. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's hit the old copy. And paste. Om mani me me 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 om. Let's chat. There is no time to be happy. Happiness is over just like that. You do not want to suffer, so eradicate the exacerbation of stress with Dharma. Whatever happiness or stress comes, recognize it as the power of your past actions. And from now on, enjoy freedom from the tyranny of dreads or desires regarding anyone at all. Om mani me me om mani me me om. Om mani me me om mani me me om. Om mani me me om mani me me om. Om mani me me om mani me me om. This out of the 82 quatrains of this text, this is one of my favorite passages. Expecting a lot from people, you do a lot of smiling. Needing many things for yourself, you have many needs to meet. Making plans to do first this and that, your mind is full of hopes and fears. From now on, come with me, do not be like that. I feel that this passage is particularly poignant in reference to the opening lesson, this morning's opening lesson. Om mani me me 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 om. Even if you die today, why be sad? It is the way of samsara. Even if you live to be 100, why be glad? Youth will have long since gone. Whether you live or die right now, what does this life matter? Just practice Dhamma for the next life. That is the point of letting go of hating and craving. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. All fount of compassion, my routine, sure. Your awareness, wisdom, and empathy are like that of Lord Raising. You are my only protector. All right, let's try that again from the top. All fount of compassion, my routine, sure. Your awareness, wisdom, and empathy are like that of Lord Raising. Your example, teachings, and students are my only protectors. These six syllable mantra essence of enlightened speeches, the sublime Dharma. From now on, I have no one but you. Together. Let us invite real imagine Guru Avalokiteshvara to the crown of our head, that in the union of bliss and letting go we may train. So, this individual represents our enlightened potential, and here Avalokiteshvara becomes emblematic of literally sensations of bliss, and figuratively the teachings. During your in-breath, please silently and mentally recite Lama come. During your exhalation, please silently and mentally recite to this crown. One moment. And you'll notice that the noun crown implies the color white, which corresponds to the crowned chakra in the Buddhist practice of chakra work, or in this practice of Buddhist chakra work. Aha. Let's see. Let's take this image and copy it here. Let's take this image and copy it here. All right, here we go. Om mani mimi yung mani mimi yung Om mani mimi yung mani mimi yung Om mani mimi yung mani mimi yung Om mani mimi yung mani mimi yung. And now we, having trained in bliss and letting go, we now return to awareness and letting go. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb is. Having climbed to contemplative cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Please chant with me. Oops, one moment. Okay, here we go. Whatever I know I have lived, it is there here, it is no use to me now. Whatever I have done, I have spent on this life, it is no use to me now. Whatever I have thought was all just illusion, it is no use to me now. Now that time has come to do what is truly useful, recite the six-syllable mantra. So you'll notice that sometimes there's an italicized word, and that's when I've made an adaptation. Other times there'll be brackets and smaller font, and that's when I've made an amplification. Please chant with me. Om, I invoke the wish of healing money, jewel of love, and the purifying pain, me lotus of letting go, supplicating with whom may love and letting go be mastered by all. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. The only never-failing constant refuge is the three wish of healing jewels of the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. The three jewels single essences are Ambassador Tenrezik, with total unshakable zeal for his wisdom. Enthusiastic and decisive, recite the six-syllable mantra. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. The basis of the Mahayana path is the enlightened mindset. The sublime thought of wishing and acting love is the one path trodden by all the Buddhas, never leaving this noble path of the enlightened mindset. With compassion for all beings, recite the six-syllable mantra. In our compassion may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of ever. Hating, raving, and cleaning, metaphorically known as the three mental poisons. wandering in samsara from beginningless time until now. What you have done that was wrong will lead to further wandering. From your heart acknowledge all wrongdoing and unfalls as well as confess them. With our four powers complete, recite the six-syllable mantra. Rather than squander all time and energy in defensiveness, how much wiser could it be to learn all mistakes' lessons that effortlessly flow from the centered spontaneity of mindfulness and meditation? Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. One moment, if you please. So I'm going to do a quick edit. Please bear with me. Okay, so please, one moment. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's hit cut. And paste. Thank you for your patience. Okay, here we go. The mind holding on to the illusion of I clings to everything. This is the cause of rigid samsara. So as offerings to the exalted in nirvana, and charity to the lonely in samsara. Give everything, body, possessions, and virtue, and dedicate the merit to all. Casting all attachments far away, recite the six-syllable mantra. A life squandered in competition and greed leads not to peace and fulfillment. Better to live in cooperation and generosity. At this life's end, may this mind shoot out crowns on, purifying, multiplying, and offering my stuff to all beings of nirvana and samsara. Om mani mimi yung, om mani mimi The noble teacher has the nature of all Buddhas. The noble teacher has the mindful, meditative, and empathetic nature of all Buddhas. And of all the Buddhas, it is Lama who is the kindest, for it is he or she who guides us. Seeing the teacher as if inseparable from Chenrezig's habits of mindfulness, meditation, and empathy, with fervent enthusiasm recite the six-syllable mantra. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Purifying the tyranny of competitions and clinging obscurations, initiating the practice of the path and actualizing the four kayas. The essence of the four empowerments is reliance upon the teacher who acts as an ambassador of the archetype Chenrezig. If you recognize your heart mind as like the teachers, all four empowerments are complete. Receiving innate empowerment by yourself, recite the six-syllable mantra. Let us invite real or imagined Lama Chenrezig to our heart mind, that in the union of bliss and letting go we may train. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Samsara is nothing other than how things appear to you. If you recognize every circumstance as not graspable as the pure land of light, the good of others is consummated. Seeing the purity of everything through the contemplations of awareness and letting go, confers her power and empowerments on all beings at once. Dredging the depths of samsara, recite the six-syllable mantra. So, according to this final text of the great Tibetan saint Zalpatrul Rinpoche, a meditation manual lauded by the 14th Dalai Lama, by practicing simply and humbly, we are giving tantric empowerment to all beings everywhere, thus throwing the metaphoric brick through the plate glass window of elitism. As we inhale, all circumstances, our loss could appear quite vivid. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void, as a real or imagined paradise, pure land or vaulty of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Oopsie, that's weird. Huh. Wow, look at that. Okay, let's see if there's an easy fix for that. Okay, that was really weird. The mind cannot cope with all the many visualization practices. To meditate on one sukata is to meditate on them all. Whatever we feel, sensations or as not graspable as the form of light of the great compassionate one. In the realm of the archetype's body, sensual yet as not graspable as a vast empty void, recite the six-syllable mantra. As we inhale, all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable or void as a real or imagined archetypal yidam of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Recitations, adorners, and power for spells are just complications. This all-inclusive six-syllable mantra is the very sound of the Dharma. All sounds have never been other than as non-graspable as the speech of sublime Chenrezig. Recognizing them as non-graspable as a mantra, resounding yet as non-graspable as a vast empty void, recite the six-syllable mantra. As we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could sound quite resounding. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable of what is a real or imagined mantra of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As the tyranny of thoughts and the two obscurations of dread and desire, all pacified experience and realization increase. As your competitive and clinging perceptions come under control, enemies and obstructing influences are subjugated. It is our devotion to the similes of this enlightened octave known as Chenrezig that bestows in this very life the supreme and common cities. As if our activities are accomplished by themselves, recite the six-syllable mantra. As we inhale, we could notice all minds, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable of what is a real or imagined bija seed syllable of light. Om mani mimi yung, om mani mimi yung, om mani mimi yung, Offer the Dharma cakes of whatever spontaneously arises. To the Gyatso wisdom's immediate liberation of letting go. Mold the clay of whatever spontaneously appears. Into wisdom Gyatso relief scripture of Take two. Into wisdom Gyatso relief sculpture of void appearance. Offer the prostration of the single taste of non-duality to the Lord of man's non-graspable nature. Wasi consummating these dharma activities recite the six-syllable mantra. Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung. Overcome your enemy hatred with the weapon of love. Protect your family, the beings of the six realms, with a skillful means of compassion. Harvest from the field of devotion the crop of experience and realization. Consummating your life's work, recite the six-syllable mantra. Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung. Cremate that old corpse of clinging to things as real in the fire of non-attachment. Conduct the weekly funeral ceremonies of ordinary life by practicing the essence of Dharma. As a smoke offering to provide for the departed, dedicate your accumulated merit for all their future lives. Consummating all positive actions and for the sake of the dead, recite the six-syllable mantra. Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung Om Mani Mimi Yung Mani Mimi Yung. Please chant with me. Put your child devotion at the doorway of your practice. Give your son renunciation mastery over the household of ordinary life. With your daughter compassion to the bridegroom of the three worlds. Consummating your duty to the living, recite the six-syllable mantra. So, here's the Philosopher's Stone that transforms the lead of mere mindless mantra recitation into the gold of mantra meditation. During the inhalation, please silently, mentally, and passively recite this italicized bit, relaxing into this. But what is this? This is whatever we notice during our inhalation. This is whatever we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. This could be whatever sight, sound, sensation, flavor, scent, or the like we notice. This could be whatever emotion, intention, thought, memory, or imagining we notice. This could be the external or the internal, the physical or the mental, the pleasurable or the painful, the interesting or the boring, the glorious or the grotesque. Now, what do we do with all this stuff that we notice? During our exhalation, we could physically relax as best we can while striving to chant this mantra 8 times per breath. And if this is your first time, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om mani mimi yung, mani mimi yung. 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 We now prepare to perform the silent version of the exact same exercise. During the inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite this, and during the exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, ease. I need to take a moment to dictate a quick note to myself. Wrong button. Let's try that again. Page 254. Thank you for your patience. Let's seal this morning's practice by percussively chanting love and letting go's wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. So these aren't prayers per se. We're just using words to exercise the neural pathways responsible for our loving intention. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void now be as enlightened as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a one-syllable bija. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void now be as loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by a multi-syllable mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void now be as healthy as a yidam archetype depicted in Buddhist statuary. May all lots of all beings appearing, yet void no be as fortunate as a pure land of lore depicted in Buddhist paintings. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.